managed security services and MSS, if you like, they're around for a decade, even more, I mean, from late 90s. So, however, in the last few years, let's say 2010 onwards, there was a shift, especially on the drivers, that moved companies to go and embrace and manage security services. And the reason was the shift also in the threat landscape, which wasn't just an evolution, but actually a seismic shift of the threat landscape due to targeted cyber attacks. So if we see briefly how MSS, the history of MSS, what we call MSS 1.0, was actually the outtasking of tedious, labor-intensive tasks of managing and operating simple security systems like firewalls and VPNs. This was the case in the late 90s and early zeros. Then we have MSS 2.0, which was actually the services like log management, collecting, archiving and processing logs, and some basic security monitoring services with the main driver being compliance. So the company's organizations had to address some compliance requirements with the best possible total cost of ownership, so they were outsourcing such services and such solutions to managed security service providers. So, however, as said, the seismic shift of the threat landscape and targeted attacks, actually, they made evident three main facts. First, that security breaches are inevitable, and that preventive controls, or as we call them, raise the bar controls, eventually will fail or will be subverted or circumvented. The other thing that they made evident was that compliance does not mean being secure. And the third thing, and which is most important, is that when the current, let's say, and common cybersecurity paradigm, having automated autonomous controls like firewalls, antivirus, and different security web gateways to tackle and fend off targeted attacks, which are operated by humans, well-resourced, well-thought-through, and well-skilled human operators, is a total mismatch. So these three facts made companies to start also changing their cybersecurity strategy or paradigm from a preventive type of posture to a more early warning and response capability development. This is what MSS, what we call MSS 3.0, is all about. It's about augmenting an organization's capabilities for addressing advanced cyber threats through an early warning and response paradigm. And our managed security services, Encode managed security services, which we call cyber operations and intelligence, were designed and built for this new paradigm, the MSS 3.0. So how we came to this actually was a natural evolution. At Encode, we foreseen, from 2003, the new type of sophisticated, let's say, targeted cyber attacks. So we developed a service on actively simulating these attacks. We call it extrusion testing. So actually it's an APT red teaming exercise. And we provide service to our customers, first to provide situational awareness, but then on also to assess their monitoring and incident response capabilities, even to battle test their cyber incident planning. So based on the insights we gathered from such APT simulation exercises or extrusion testing, and at the same time trying to help our customers, assist them in mitigating such targeted and sophisticated attacks, we came up also to the conclusion that solely preventive controls or a defense-in-depth type of approach wasn't enough, or actually even wasn't feasible sometimes for tackling such threats. So what was missing was an early warning and response capability. This is what we actually provide through our cyber operations intelligence services. The problem also was that, and still is to a certain extent, that technology is not always fit for purpose for such attacks, for detecting such attacks. So a large part of our investment and our focus is on enhancing our technology platform for being able to detect such threats. So what MSS 3.0 is all about, one thing is actually to effectively augment an organization's capabilities for addressing such threats through early warning and response. But mainly what we say is for detecting these low and slow type of threats, these very sophisticated threats. One might say that it's like trying to find the needle in the haystack. But what we say is it's more like trying to identify the needle in the needle stack, the wrong needle in the needle stack. And why is that? Because actually the sophistication or the advanced nature of these attacks or threats, it's mainly because of the efforts that the adversary goes in order to evade controls, be under the radar, and actually hide malicious activity, attack activity, in the noise of normal behavior, in normal activity. So where our services focus is to be able to model complexity inside the organization, focus also on the business logic of the attack and not just of signatures of specific attacks, and be able to identify the business logic as a generic pattern. How we do that? Through a combination of, let's say, three main services or modules. The first one is our real-time threat management services, which is more or less the traditional, on steroids, security monitoring, where we gather all logs or relevant logs, we analyze them, we correlate them through correlation rules that map to specific use cases. And this is the real-time bit. However, for sophisticated target attacks, real-time is not enough. So also real-time systems like security information event management systems are not enough on their own. So our next and main service is our security data analytics and proactive hunting. There, we don't just wait to have an event or an alert generated through our use cases, but we actually proactively hunting specific activity inside the network in order to detect abnormal APT type or targeted type of attack activity. How we do that? We have invested a lot in developing our platform that uses data analytics, profiling for modeling complexity, in combination with generic suspicious patterns that actually model the business logic of the attacker. The combination of that provides risk scores, which gives our hunters the ability to pinpoint possibly malicious behavior and be able to drill down on that and actually zero in onto the threat in order to address it. And how would we do that? Through the last part of the service, which is called adaptive threat response, actually have the environment forensics ready. So we strategically deploy beforehand our investigators and probes. So the moment we identify something which is out of the ordinary, either through real-time threat management or proactive hunting and security data analytics, we are able to, on the spot, get a visibility on the network session and at the endpoint level at the same time. And by combining the two, to be able to detect and verify that this is an actual incident, and also be able to take it from there in order to provide the all too critical and all too required coordination for attack containment and monitoring. Companies and organizations are actually turning to MSSPs because the main driver now for MSS 3.0 and our cyber operations intelligence is that security talent is a scarce resource. I mean, if security is not your core business, it's very difficult to attract and retain the all too critical and all required security talent. So the reason that companies and organizations are turning to MSSPs to augment these capabilities, the early warning and response capabilities, is that mainly because security talent is a scarce resource. Actually, if security is not your core business, it's very difficult to attract and retain security talent. Even big companies, they might have armies of security guys, but And there is talent there, but maybe they need also an augmentation of such talent. So where we focused as Encode was actually to encapsulate or this knowledge that we have developed over the years on advanced threats and their signs, the actual logic of the attack, encapsulated in both our use cases for real-time threat management and mainly in the analytics. And we tend to be able to detect also the unknown unknowns. So actually it's a combination. What we leverage is best-of-breed technology, innovation on the data analytics and proactive hunting, along with our extensive experience and expertise, both defensive and offensive, and we combined all that in our cyber operations intelligence services.